Hey, real progressives, this is Jackie Luqman, and I wanted to come to you today to talk about some comments that were recently made by our nemesis, Donald Trump. I actually don't want to talk about Donald Trump's comments. Let me make that clear. What I really want to talk about is the hypocrisy of Clinton supporters and supporters of the Democratic Party in relation to these comments that Trump made, right? So here's the crux of the matter. Tuesday, Donald Trump had a rally, and he said, quote, if she, Clinton, gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, that will be a horrible day. That's what Trump said at this rally that he had on Tuesday. Now, look, there are a couple of ways you might be able to interpret that if you really want to waste a whole lot of time trying to interpret what that nut job says. And okay, fine, you can interpret it all kinds of different ways if you feel like, but please keep in mind, real progressives, who we're talking about here. I've said to you before that I don't believe Donald Trump is unintelligent. Do I think he's a jerk? Yes. Do I think he's a buffoon? Yes. Do I think he's playing a role? Yeah, I do. Do I think he's ignorant? No, I don't think he's ignorant at all. I think he knows exactly what he's saying. So I want you to keep in mind that this is the same guy who a few months ago said, I can stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and not lose any supporters. He said that on live national television. So I really don't understand why people are all freaked out and surprised when Donald Trump says something like this at a rally. Why is that shocking to you? That he is basically just proving the point he'd already made months ago, right? So I'm not even going to spend any more time on what Donald Trump said. James Casserly, you're right. It is a reality show. That's why his comments aren't my issue. My problem is the response of Hillary Clinton supporters and supporters of the Democratic Party. Because just yesterday, two Democratic journalists, quote unquote journalists, I had to make sure I got my air quotes in the frame, went public with comments supporting killing Julian Assange. I'm not even kidding. There's nothing funny about that. Let me read what was actually said to you and who said it. Because I don't like for people to just believe what I say just because I'm the one who says it. I need you to hear from the people who said it, what they said. And this was reported, I'm getting this from the freethoughtproject.com, but you can get this information anywhere. The first person, there were two people who actually said this yesterday. Not just one, two. Hillary Clinton strategist Bob Beckel. If you've ever watched Fox News, you know who Bob Beckel is. He was the Democrat on the Fox News panel. He was, the lone so-called voice of reason, somewhat, on the crazy train that is the Fox News panel. So Hillary Clinton strategist Bob Beckel appeared on Fox calling for the assassination of Julian Assange, a blatant urge for violence against the WikiLeaks founder in direct contradiction of every possible natural and government law. Here's what he said. I mean, a dead man can't leak stuff, Beckel chillingly noted of Assange. There's the guy's a traitor, a treasonist, and he has broken every law in the United States. The guy ought to be, and I'm not for the death penalty. So if I'm not for the death penalty, there's only one way to do it. illegally shoot the son of a bitch. That's what he said. Bob Beckel, the Democrat, Clinton strategist, said that on Fox News yesterday. Moreover, Michael Grunwald, let me make sure I'm getting his name correct. Yes, Michael Grunwald took to Twitter. He is a senior staff writer for Politico, and he is a pro-Democrat, pro-DNC, pro-Clinton journalist. Journalists are supposed to be unbiased, right? Yeah, well, no. He tweeted this comment: "I can't wait to write a defense of the drone strike that takes out Julian Assange." That's what he tweeted on his own Twitter account. This Michael Grunwald person, who is not only a senior staff writer for Politico, but it also turns out he's a writer for Time magazine, time.com. As outraged as all of the Clinton supporters and the DNC supporters and the vote blue no matter who and any blue will do Democrats are at what Trump said about possibly shooting Hillary Clinton, which is despicable. There's no other way to put that. What he said was despicable, but it's Donald Trump. He's said despicable stuff before. None of those people are outraged about anything these two people said. I've had several comments with people on my own personal timeline on Facebook who I have now blocked because I am sick and tired of their hypocrisy about this very issue. The willingness of Clinton supporters to ignore the horrible, disgusting, despicable, vile, un-American, unpatriotic, violence-inciting things that Democrats do and say, but you want to get all worked up and hot and bothered when Trump does it, when the Republicans do it. Always calling the Republicans out on their stuff, and please understand, I'm not saying that the Republicans are not guilty of some really vile and disgusting things. Absolutely they are. But we know them. Real progressives. Do you understand what I'm saying? We know who the Republicans are. They're I'm not going to say that because that's not fair. It's like being shocked that the Klan is racist, right? It's like, why are you shocked that a Klan member is racist? It's the Klan. Why are you shocked when a Republican does or says something disgusting and vile, especially this latest iteration of really far right Tea Party extremist fringe Republicans? I'm not talking about true conservatives. I'm talking about this bunch of clown car fools they've got in Congress now who hitched their party to the Tea Party because they hated the black guy in office. I'm talking about those Republicans. Why is it a surprise to you when they do and say stupid stuff? You know who they are. They don't get me worked up. I'm not surprised when one of them puts their foot in their mouth and says something racist. I'm just sitting there looking at my watch, waiting. Oh, well, it was about time. It's been a couple of months. They were overdue. No, I am appalled when Democrats do and say these kinds of things, and Democrats, liberals, don't call them on their crap. So this what I am calling Clinton supporter hypocrisy syndrome, CSHS. It's not new. It's not a new sickness, ladies and gentlemen. Dennis Devoto says, love you, Jackie. Thank you, Dennis. We love you at Real Progressives, too. Yeah, this whole, we're supposed to be so afraid of the evil that is Donald Trump and the Republican Party that we just ignore the vile and disgusting behavior and comments of Hillary Clinton and the Democratic National Committee and the party that's got to stop. Because, see, it's not just about these comments about Assange, which I can't stress enough, are appalling and disgusting on a level, to me personally, that is visceral. You can't tell me there is nothing wrong with someone who claims to be a member of the party for the people calling for the death of someone who is releasing information that is proving to those people how corrupt that party has become. All these people are doing is protecting their paycheck, their interest, and their power. So of course they want to get rid of people like Julian Assange. And they expect you Democrats, those of you who are watching this video or read our stuff or visit our page, who are still not so sure, thinking that you can save the soul of the Democratic Party. Julian Assange and WikiLeaks are proving to you that the Democratic Party has no soul anymore. I used to believe that they had a soul to be saved. I did. But I am kind of the opinion that there's no soul there anymore. You may not agree with that. That's just my take, Because anybody who would not be outraged and immediately call for the firing of these people and disavow any kind of association or knowledge, association with, or anything, just cut off all ties with them, how am I supposed to be okay with that? How is that acceptable? Then again, these are the same people, the Clinton supporters, the Democrats, the liberals, the DNC supporters, the vote any blue no matter who supporters, who didn't have a problem with members of the DNC wanting to go after Bernie Sanders because of his religion, because they knew that some people in the South didn't take kindly to Jews too much. I'm from the South. I can kind of do that a little bit. That's supposed to be okay. Mary Vogt says the Democratic Party hates progressives. She's right. They do. They absolutely do. And the fact that they have an easy time completely ignoring Hillary Clinton's horrible record on many things, while they talk about, every time you bring up an issue with Hillary Clinton's record, do you notice what they do? They always bring up something someone else did who's a Republican. And they use that whatever thing is that they bring up that someone else did as a reason that Hillary Clinton is either being attacked because it's all a GOP witch hunt, as a reason to excuse Hillary Clinton's behavior, and as a reason to call people sexists. That's what they've been doing for the past year and a half. David Engensperger, said, "Thank you, Jackie. More vocalization on this issue lets people know what the options are and where the voters stand. The lesser of two evils is still evil. Stop the madness. Jill 2016. You're absolutely right, David." And I want to talk about these things because I know that if I'm having these conversations with these people who are Clinton supporters who don't want to address the reality of her record, you are too. So what we want to do here at Real Progressives is to give you the information and the ammunition you need to fight the heck back before you block them, because at some point you're just going to have to block some of these people. So what they do is they bring up stuff that other people have done. And they use them as excuses for why, what Hillary did is not that bad. For why, look, this doesn't mean anything because this is just a GOP witch hunt. This doesn't mean anything because they're just a bunch of sexists, the people who are saying that about Hillary Clinton. One really good example of this kind of Clinton supporter hypocrisy syndrome, because this deflection is a symptom of CSHS, Clinton supporter hypocrisy syndrome. One of these issues is the whole email scandal. I spent months trying to reason with people on my own personal page about why Clinton supporters bringing up Karl Rove's email scandal is not the same thing as Hillary Clinton's email scandal. I spent months explaining to people why, yes, what Karl Rove did was criminal. He should be in jail. Yes, he should have been locked up. He should have been taken out in the streets and beaten, probably. But to use what Karl Rove did as a reason for why what Hillary Clinton did is not a big deal it's ignorant. It's just ignorant because, number one, Karl Rove resigned his position. Well, no, number one, Karl Rove was a senior advisor to President Bush. He wasn't the Secretary of State of the United States of America. He wasn't the head of anybody's federal agency. He was a senior advisor to the president. Yes, that was a very influential position, but he still wasn't anybody's secretary of anything. He wasn't in charge of anybody's federal agency. The other issue is that when Rove got caught, he resigned his position in the White House. And yes, he was subpoenaed a few times. And yes, he absolutely did, like the gangster he is, completely ignore those subpoenas. They basically said, I don't have to answer these subpoenas. I don't have to answer to these people. I don't have to talk to these people. Who are they? I'm Karl Rove. And I think he was subpoenaed 4 times by a couple of different congressional committees, and he only appeared once. And when he appeared in front of that committee to give his testimony, they said that what he did was illegal, but they didn't lock him up. So yeah, what Karl Rove did was wrong. He should be in jail. But Karl Rove, after he left the White House, was a private citizen. He was never elected to any position of influence in anybody's office at any level of government, ever. He went on a bunch of talk shows and trotted out the typical Republican Party line, but that's all he did. Hillary Clinton is a different story. That's a completely different story. But I couldn't reason with these people on that point that, okay, if you want to bring up Karl Rove, all right, that's fine, but we're going to have to talk about the things that Hillary Clinton actually did now. If you want to bring up what Karl Rove did, if he's relevant, if his crimes are relevant according to you, then Hillary Clinton's record is relevant too. But no, it's not. Not to them. Because Clinton supporter hypocrisy syndrome does not allow Clinton's record to be relevant to them at all, in any way, ever. So when I bring up these 2 Democratic journalists and the vile comments they made about Julian Assange being murdered, the very same people now who brought up Karl Rove and insisted that Karl Rove's case is relevant because it proves that Hillary Clinton didn't do anything wrong, and it proves how sexist the criticism of her is. These very same people respond to these 2 instances of these vile comments by these 2 Democrats and say, oh, that's just muddying the water. I'm not kidding. Somebody just said that to me yesterday before I blocked her. That's what they do. That's what they do. They honestly and literally probably don't care what Hillary Clinton has done. They don't care what the DNC has done. I said to you in a video last week, I think, I am sure, I am almost positive Julian Assange and everybody involved in the WikiLeaks operation is looking at us right now and saying, what the heck is wrong with these people? How are they still supporting her? How can they not see this track record of corruption and lies and clearly subverting the democracy and working against the interests of the American people. How are they not outraged at this and still supporting this woman? I'll tell you why. It is Clinton supporter hypocrisy syndrome. That's what it is. It's the same syndrome that causes Clinton supporters to tout Hillary Clinton's record with working with children and saying, oh, she worked for the Children's Defense Fund. She's for children and she worked hard for them, but they completely ignore the fact that Marian Wright Edelman, the founder of the Children's Defense Fund, slammed the Clintons, both of them, not just her husband, for the passage of the Welfare Reform Act. Because it was Marian Wright Edelman and her husband who told the Clintons that that piece of legislation would be the most damaging thing to poor children that could ever happen to that could ever happen in this country. And they were right. Clinton herself talks about how she, instead of working for a big law firm, when she came out of law school, she went to work for the Children's Defense Fund. That's come out of her own mouth. And her supporters stand there and they eat that garbage up. Because no matter how much you and I tell them, well, wait, do you know what the Clintons did in regard to poor children with welfare reform in this country that the Children's Defense Fund didn't want them to do, told them not to do, actually protested on the day the legislation was signed? Oh, you didn't know that, did you? The day the Welfare Reform Act was signed by Bill Clinton in the White House, there were protests on Pennsylvania Avenue by mothers and women and children who would be impacted by that legislation. They don't tell you that. And the Clinton supporters don't want to hear that. The Clinton supporters don't want to hear that Frank Edelman, Marian Wright Edelman's husband, who was a member of Clinton's cabinet, quit his job in the White House after that legislation was signed. Because he was the one who delivered the study that showed the damage that legislation would do to poor children in this country personally to Bill Clinton, put it on his desk. And the Clintons ignored them. Hillary Clinton went on to campaign vigorously in support of that legislation. Said it was the best thing they ever did. To this day, still talks about how she fought for children when she worked for the Children's Defense Fund. But Clinton supporter hypocrisy syndrome causes Clinton supporters to ignore all of that backstory, all of that history in regard to her work with the Children's Defense Fund. This disorder causes her supporters to ignore the fact that when she was a senator in New York, because you know her supporters are always talking about her experience, 8 years as a senator for New York, and how she promised to bring 200,000 jobs to New York State when she was a senator. Clinton's supporter hypocrisy syndrome causes them to completely ignore the fact that in her 8 years as a senator for New York, she actually didn't accomplish that. As a matter of fact, CBS News says that Hillary Clinton's efforts to create 200,000 new jobs in upstate New York during her tenure as senator fell flat, according to an analysis by the Washington Post. Now, it's very interesting that some of the news outlets now that are doing all of this analysis of Clinton policies are some of the same outlets that endorsed her just a few months ago. Find that interesting? I do. But then again, I'm a crazy leftist conspiracy theorist. What do I know? During her first Senate bid in 2000, Clinton had promised to create 200,000 new jobs in that economically depressed region of the state. This was upstate New York. But the Post found there's not much evidence to prove that that was the outcome. Denise DeVito said she named post offices. That's true. That was the one piece of legislation where she was the she was the leader on that piece of legislation to name a post office in upstate New York. I'm not kidding. Now, to be fair, almost all legislators do that kind of thing in order to say, I authored legislation. Technically, that's true. Casey McMurray said, all hail the post office renaming queen. Y'all are brutal. I thought I was bad. Goodness gracious. But to be fair, most legislators do that. They champion or they author these kind of fluff bills. Sanders did it too. He named a post office in Vermont. He did it too. He named a couple of streets it's true. But to Hillary Clinton's actual record in 8 years as a senator for New York, CBS News says jobs data show that job growth stagnated in upstate New York during her 8 years in office, the report said, and manufacturing jobs dropped by nearly a quarter. So Clinton supporters completely ignore the fact that the part of their record that they focus on so much, her being a senator from New York and all this stuff she supposedly got done, all of this experience that she supposedly had during that period of time, is squat. It's nothing to, it's what I could have done if I had walked. I think I would have at least tried to do something more than, naming a post office. But, I'm just being flippant now. I'm sorry. Here's another aspect of Hillary Clinton's record that Clinton supporters ignore because of their Clinton supporter hypocrisy syndrome. This experience they cite when she was Secretary of State. We don't have time to go into all of the stuff we've already told you about with her foreign policy disasters. All I need to do is give you a list. Libya, Honduras, Haiti, Syria, Yemen. But something broke today that we posted that is just the typical kind of thing that Hillary supporters love to ignore because their Clinton supporter hypocrisy syndrome it doesn't let them pay attention to it. The New York Times, I think, broke this story. I'm sorry, no, the Wall Street Journal broke this story, and we have posted a link of an analysis of it from The Atlantic, which is one of my favorite publications. And it's about how, as Secretary of State, one of the first things Hillary Clinton did as Secretary of State, think about that role and what it's supposed to be about. One of the first things she did was to help out the Swiss bank UBS out of being sued by the United States government for hiding secret accounts. This is in The Atlantic. A few weeks after Hillary Clinton was sworn in as Secretary of State in early 2009, she was summoned to Geneva by her Swiss counterpart, by the Swiss Secretary of State, to discuss an urgent matter. The Internal Revenue Service was suing UBS AG to get the identities of Americans with secret accounts. Okay, why do you think people have secret accounts in foreign countries? So they don't have to pay taxes on them to the United States government. That's why they have secret. If I had that much money, if I had enough money to open an account in another country, I'd put it there. I'm not even gonna lie. You have to have a lot of money. I am not talking about football player money. I'm not talking about basketball player money. I am talking about multinational, multi-generational corporate conglomerate. I own corporations that make hundreds of billions of dollars a year kind of money, and I don't want to pay taxes on that kind of money. That's the kind of money we're talking about. These people had secret accounts in Swiss bank UBS. And Hillary Clinton responded thusly. If the case proceeded, Switzerland's largest bank would face an impossible choice: violate Swiss secrecy laws by handing over the names, or refuse and face criminal charges in U.S. federal court. Criminal charges would have resulted in criminal fines. Criminal fines would have resulted in paying back taxes. Within months, Mrs. Clinton announced a tentative legal settlement, an unusual intervention by the top U.S. diplomat. UBS ultimately turned over information on 4,450 accounts, a fraction of the 52,000 sought by the IRS. If you believe someone who would do this when she is the head of the State Department to help a foreign bank continue to hide the assets of filthy, stinking rich people who don't want to pay their fair share of taxes, if you think she is going to do anything to help you and I get our fair share of anything, you have lost your mind. But that's the problem with people who suffer from Clinton supporter hypocrisy syndrome. They don't know how deluded they are. This doesn't matter to them. I am reading your comments, and I'm trying to keep up because y'all are commenting so fast. Thank you so much. Somebody asked, what do I think of the recent deaths? Scared to death for anybody else who is continuing to work to expose Hillary Clinton, but thankful as hell they're willing to take that risk. We'll do what we can. We try not to traffic in conspiracy theories here at Real Progressives. And sometimes it's hard to parse out what's a conspiracy theory and what's the truth. But just because people call something a conspiracy theory, it doesn't mean it's not true. And just because I'm paranoid, it doesn't mean they're not watching me. So, yeah, we have articles about those deaths that are very frightening and very shocking and very telling on our page. So listen, I don't know that there's anything we can say. Patrick Sattler and Forrest Belvin says, I'm not scared, bring it on. Y'all rock. I'm not sure that there is anything we can say to combat Clinton supporter hypocrisy syndrome. I'm not sure that there's anything we can say or do any more than what we are already saying and doing to help cure people of Clinton supporter hypocrisy syndrome. I don't think we have the cure, because for these people, truth is not the cure. And that's all we have here at Real Progressives. We're passionate about what we say. We're passionate about what we believe. Sunday, I'm in Washington, D.C., but we're not posting our opinions here. That's why we give you links to articles and sources that you can look up and read yourself. That's why when Steve talks about economics, which he does so incredibly well, we've got him and other people, Jabari Morris, who give you the information to go look that up, because you need to understand that you're being lied to, that you've been lied to, and you need to understand how to counter those lies with the truth so you, as the WHO says, don't get fooled again. Clinton supporter hypocrisy syndrome, I believe, is a real disease. It's gotta be, because it's the only thing that explains how people are still supporting this woman. It is the only thing I can honestly understand that explains why people are appalled at the things other people do and use them as reasons for why the very same things Hillary Clinton does aren't so bad. There's so much more. Man, there's so much more that I wanted to talk about because I haven't been able to live stream for a couple of days. But there are a couple other things I want to talk about, but I will save them for another time because I actually have paid work I have to finish. Something you should know, though, and I think I feel like it is my responsibility to make this very clear to all of our supporters, all of you who take the time to sit here and watch our live streams and to comment on our live streams and to share all of our content, to read our links, to follow us, to like us, to share our page. You need to know that we're doing this because this is our passion. This is our revolution. We are very serious about progressive policies. Jenny Velasquez says, "Don't ignore me." I'm not ignoring you, Jenny. Thank you so much. We don't get funded by anybody yet to do this. We're trying to expand our social media and our electronic platform. We're building a website. We're building a YouTube presence. You know, we've got 70,000 followers on Facebook now. Thank y'all so much. And that was from a couple of hundred less than a year ago. Thank y'all so much. But I really feel like I need to make it very, very clear that we're doing this out of our own pockets right now and out of our own passion. Our passion is fueling this revolution. Yes, we are going to build a fundraising platform later on because, look, we've got bills to pay too, and we want to keep doing this. We only just want to make it better for you. So, yeah, because there were a couple of people who commented some things about where we get our funding from and asked, how are you paying for this? Well, Facebook and YouTube are free right now, doggone it. That's how we're paying for this. But this is our passion. Informing you about progressive policies, giving you information about progressive politicians, and letting you know where you've been hoodwinked, lied to, misled. Taylor S. Hall says, I'm lost, just joined. Stick around, Taylor. You won't be lost for long. You've been found. You're in the right place if you're a progressive. Thank you very much. So, listen, thank you so much for listening for watching our live streams, for liking our stuff. Please share our content with your friends and far and wide. Like I said before, look out for announcements from us. We already made an announcement about YouTube, so please go look for Real Progressives on YouTube and go like our channel there. All of our live stream videos and other videos are there. And continue to support Real Progressives and this revolution and what we're trying to do in this country. We need to work together to do it, and we need to call out the hypocrisy for what it is. It's hypocrisy. It's Trump fear porn BS. It's establishment politics that's keeping all of us broke. It's the elite controlling all of the power, not sharing it with the rest of us, and telling us that we're crazy because we don't like it. Stay in this for the long haul. This is not an easy fight. It's not going to be won overnight. But there is no revolution that has ever been undertaken in the history of man that was won quickly and that was won without some blood, sweat, and tears. stay in this fight, y'all. We certainly are. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.